Now here I have some of our mother of thousands. One of the really neat thing about the mother of thousand plant, and I'm using a flashlight here in a second, is so it is early in the morning here at Tye-Dyed iguana, and our sulcata tortoises, I'm sitting here by the sulcata pen, are sound asleep, maybe getting ready to wake up here in a little bit. My name is Kim. I'm from the plant team here at TDI. I don't want to wake them up right now, but if you were to come by here some afternoon, I see it a lot on Friday afternoons, you will see some activity amongst these two tortoises that when parents are here with their little kids, they get a little bit awkward, a little bit embarrassed because one is working on the other. And when the little 5-year-old girl says to mom or dad, what are they doing? You can see the awkward moments. And if I happen to be here, sometimes I can intervene and help by just saying, it's procreation. It's continuation of the species. And the parents will look at me a little bit like, what are you talking about? Of course, this is what we're talking about, and they are continuing the species. Now, we are not going to be talking about animals today. We're going to talk about how some plants continue the species and how you can help in that. We're not going to help in this, but let's go inside and we're going to talk about plant procreation and how we can continue the species. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different ways that here at Tye-Dyed we go ahead and take our plants and propagate the species. One of the easy plants to work with is pothos or philodendron. I've clipped a few of these this morning, and I'll show you 3 ways that we can procreate this species. An easy way, again, is taking your small clipper, and again, I just clipped these a little while ago, and I'm just going to work on one of them. All I'm going to do is just go ahead and clip that piece off, and I have the single leaf. Put it in some RO water. Done. After a period of time, we'll start to see some hair-like roots come out of that pothos, and as it grows and gets a little bit more sturdy, you can go ahead and transplant it if you would like into some dirt. So that's one way we do it. A second way is we can take another piece and just go ahead and clip this off. And this works really, really, really well. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to plug it. We sell these plugs in the store. They're made out of the hairs on coconut, a coconut coir, and it's like a sponge. So I've already taken this and moistened it a bit. We will take one of our larger forceps and we'll go through the back side of the plug until we come through the top of the plug. Let our forceps open a bit. We'll grab the piece of pothos nice and firmly and pull it through the plug. If it should come through the bottom of the plug, we'll just take our pruner and just snip that off. And now we have something that is plugged. This works really well. The success rate here of plugs versus water is significantly higher. So given the choice, while this is quite easy and very inexpensive, this is a better way to go. If I put this into a 6-pack and let it soak in some water for about 2 weeks, this is what it's going to be looking like. You've got some nice healthy leaves, you've got some new growth starting to come on, and you can see how the roots are growing through the plug. Now occasionally we will just root prune a little bit for 2 reasons. Number one, when you root prune, it helps the roots grow a little bit better. And secondly, at least here from the store perspective, if you as the customer are trying to get this out of a 6-pack and all those roots have intertwined and grabbed onto other plants, it's a little bit more difficult. So the before and the after, this works really well. The third way that many people will use is they'll just go ahead and they'll transplant into dirt. So let me give you an example. Here we've got a pot. Pot has some drainage holes in, good thing to have, but when we put dirt into one of our pots like this with a drainage hole, we'll lose some dirt. So I take a piece of paper towel. Eventually this will disintegrate, and I'll just put it down in the bottom here so that we're going to not have too much dirt go through. And because we work with small things here, I don't use a trowel. I just use a little plastic spoon here that we have gotten through one of our food outlets, and I'll put a little bit of dirt here in the bottom, and then I will go back to my same pothos And I'm going to clip 3 of these and essentially make myself a pothos bouquet. I'm going to hold that into my pot, and now I'm going to put a lot more of our soil in, and this is a mixture of soil and probably about 25% perlite for drainage purposes. Take my thumbs, go ahead and push down real well there. And then I'm going to water this really, really, really well. Now, from my perspective, after I do that, I'm going to put it on my plant cart. I'm not going to put it out on the floor because the success rate here is probably about 80%. But tomorrow, we're going to see a little bit of drooping going on because these leaves that I've just cut haven't sucked enough up into xylem and phloem to get everything going on and get it nice and sturdy. This will probably be ready to put out onto the floor in about 3 or 4 days. If 1 or 2 of these doesn't make it, I'll just take them out, discard it, and I'll try it again. So you can go the water route, you can go the plug route, or you can go the dirt route. And you can do this with lots of different plants. Now, if you have a plant that's really leafy, and creeping fig is an example. I don't have a piece of that in front of me right now. Those don't work real well in water. You have to have something with a relatively stout stem to work in the water. Otherwise, I would recommend going with the plug first, and second, going with the dirt. Now, there's another way that we can do the procreation, and I'm going to show you what I have right in front of me. And this is what I would call a mother plant of our bromeliads. And if I turn it to a certain area here where you can see we've been harvesting, and I did some of this last week, the bromeliads will grow down deep and they will get to the point where they can be harvested. And you can see right here where the stem is going down into the dirt. Now, I harvested quite a few of those, so I'm not going to harvest one right now. But what you can do is with your clipper, you just get way down here onto this stem, and you just go ahead and you clip it off. Then you would take it into, again, something about this size, but you're not going to have it filled with water. You're going to have it filled with our sphagnum moss. And then you just go ahead and make a little hole in that very, very moist sphagnum moss and slide your bromeliad into that hole you've made. Keep the base of the bromeliad, the sphagnum moss, nice and moist. Keep the cup itself of the bromeliad nice and moist. Water them probably a light mist every day and down into the sphagnum moss maybe every 3rd day, and you will procreate that species very well. It's not unusual for the bromeliads to produce a flower. If they do, that flower will get quite large. It'll last for several weeks, maybe even longer than that. And after the flower dies, the plant itself will die, but not before putting out another pup. Another way that we can procreate, which is probably a way that you're a little bit more used to, is with seeds. Now, here I have some of our mother of thousands. One of the really neat thing about the mother of thousand plant, and I'm using a flashlight here in a second, is you can see it does produce seedlings on each of the leaves. And these, when they get nice and mature, will actually fall off. Now, what we've had is, because we're sitting here in some of these trays, we've actually had some of these seedlings fall off into the tray. So we're going to get a better look at that, and I'll show you what those are like as they have fallen into the tray. Now, here's just one example down the bottom where you can see they've just dropped into the bottom. There's a little bit of moisture in there. The mother of thousands are really, really healthy, very, very aggressive, and they can grow just about anywhere. But what I'm going to do is, with my forceps, is just reach in here and grab a couple of these seedlings, and I'm going to move them over to a tray of dirt, and I am just going to drop it in there. And that's all we need to do. Now, every couple days I will water this tray of mother of thousands from the top, and you can see how they go from hardly anything, and you can actually see the progression as how they'll start to grow, get a little bit larger, and actually they'll start to produce seeds themselves. So that's another great way to do it. Again, most people, when they think about procreation, they're thinking about going to the store and buying some seeds. The mother of thousands are really, really great about producing their own seeds. So those are 5 different ways of continuing the species. We have the water, we have the plugs, we have the dirt, we have the bromeliads where we're going to go down and clip it and move it to some sphagnum moss. And finally, we have seeds with the mother of thousands. Continuing the species here at the Tye-Dyed iguana.